How's everyone doing? Welcome to the webinar. We'll give you all a second to get joined and then we will jump in. Gary, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Bracken. How about you?
I'm living the dream. It's almost Friday, so
There
there's
you
no complaints
go.
here. And I get
Yes,
to work with
indeed.
you guys, so all
Absolutely. Well, I
positives.
feel the same way.
Oh, that's nice of you. Derek, how are you?
Doing well.
Sweet. All right, guys, we'll give everyone a minute to finish jumping in here. We have a lot of fun stuff for you guys planned today, so we're excited to be able to share that with you. All right, things look like they're tapering off a little bit, so we'll jump into those intros. I'm Bracken with BusyBusy. I work on our partnership development team and really super excited to have Gary from the Certified Contractors Network joining us today. I'm sure a lot of you know Gary. If you listen to the Certified Contractors Network podcast, the Contractors Toolbox, and you've probably heard Gary and Derek chat before. Derek, he's awesome as well. He's my boss, so I do get paid to say that, but I do actually mean it. So that makes it a little bit easier as well. So now that we're all here, I'm gonna just do a quick bio about Gary and Derek and talk about who they are and why they're the masters in telling you why you need to drop costs this year and how you can improve it. So to start here, I mean, lots of good things to say about both Gary and Derek. So Gary is the vice president of the Certified Contractors Network and leads the day-to-day operations of the company. And if you guys have had the pleasure of meeting him, then you know how sincere he is in helping contractors improve their business. I mean, you don't come across people like Gary very often. So we're stoked to have him here. He's a seasoned professional, and he has great experience all across the board. So stoked to have you, Gary. Can't say enough good
Thank you,
things about you.
Bracken.
And then Derek, like I said, do get paid to say these things, but I genuinely mean them. So Derek's the CRO here at BusyBusy. And when I tell you he's good at his job and knows what he's talking about, I mean, he did hire me. So I think those are some pretty good credentials, but he spent the last 20 or so years building multiple businesses. And when Derek started at BusyBusy, gosh, what was it, Derek, about 7 years ago? We had around 100 customers then, and now we're super proud to say that Derek's grown us to a business that's helping over 100,000 contractors every day improve their processes and profitability through the BusyBusy app. So we're greatly appreciative of both of you guys and happy to have you here. So with that being said, to hurry and get through these quick introductions, we want to tell you just quickly about the CCN, who they are, and who BusyBusy is. And then we're going to dive into the importance of job costing and really get into the meat of it. So bear with us for another couple minutes while we tell you why we're here and why we're partnered together. And then we'll get into the nitty gritty good stuff. Let's see here. Let me share the next slide. So Gary, if you want to take this away and tell us a bit more
Sure.
about who the CCN is.
Absolutely. And I know we do have, Bracken, many CCN members on this call, so I hope I don't bore them too much because they know most of this already. But there are also many contractors on the call who are not CCN members. So let me just quickly give you an overview of who we are. CCN is the leading comprehensive training and coaching networking membership organization in North America. We cover the United States and Canada. We were founded in 1996 by a roofing contractor. We exclusively serve the home improvement contracting industry. We do not currently service home services, just home improvement. Our members, again, are across the US and Canada, and the product lines of our members are everything from roofing to siding to gutters, windows, doors, decks, painting, flooring, sunrooms, kitchens, baths, basements, and more. So that's just an overview of that. But as far as what we do, Bracken, we can move the slide. We train in every functional area of a contractor's business. The goal here is to put proven systems and processes in place in every area of your company so that you can scale your revenue, scale your profits, manage your expenses, and drive a strong net profit. That's the goal. So you can see a list of courses here. I'm not going to read them. You can read them on the screen, but you can see we do touch on pretty much every functional area. We can continue. But in addition to training, we do lots of other things. We do one-on-one coaching in multiple areas of business. We do comprehensive health checks for contractors. We have owners mastermind groups. We have owners roundtable sessions, and they're in every functional area as well. Sales roundtables, production roundtables, marketing roundtables, et cetera. We have a brand new program called an Owners Think Tank. It's a retreat where we bring contractors in to teach them how to build generational wealth. We have a comprehensive resource library housed on our learning management system, which we call the Knowledge Center. We offer behavioral profiles for your team, as in DISC. We offer productivity reporting so that you can have your sales folks, for example, compete with other sales folks in our network for who can achieve the highest numbers. And we have 3 annual in-person networking conferences, which is really what drives the power of our network. We have a close-knit community. A lot of people who I already saw are on this webinar are actively involved in this community. And we're just thrilled to be able to help so many contractors.
We are very excited to have you, Gary. And I have to say, I've been to 2 of the in-person networking conferences recently, and the tight-knit group and the overall like excitement to improve your business, it's really, really, really cool to see in person. So
Thanks, Bracken.
definitely, yeah, what you guys are doing is great. Quick overview about BusyBusy. We're the #1 time tracking and job costing app built for construction. So we do a lot. I mean, as you can see here with these bullet points, but our biggest goal is to get you guys off paper, get you the job site data that you need to be successful with an easy to use app. So all that info that your employees and your supers are gathering each day on the job site pushes immediately back to your office, and you can see it as the owner or the admin right from your phone and make things happen. So yeah, getting papers off or getting companies off paper and streamlining processes, that's what we're here for. And then you're all here for job costing. So not only are we able to capture this data for you, but we're also able to get it into any other software that you use. We're excited to have Gary here and excited to help you guys have a great 2024. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let the masterminds take it away. I'll also open up the Q&A in the chat, so feel free to throw some stuff in there once I get that opened, and I'll let you guys take it away.
Great. Thank you, Bracken. And I'm telling you, you're a phenomenal brand advocate for us. I think I have to put you on the payroll soon. Anyway, I really appreciate it. So Derek and I, we've spent time together already. We do well together. So I'm really thrilled, Derek, to be here with you. It's great. And the goal today is to talk to you about the importance of job costing and having the right tools to do a good job of job costing. That's the goal of today's session. Just so everybody's clear, the session is not getting into the nitty-gritty of job costing. It's really to talk about why it's important for you, why you have to get the right numbers, and so forth. But we're not actually doing a job costing training today. So, Derek, I would like to kick it off and ask you, your perspective. I mean, as you know, Derek, we teach very in-depth job costing in our courses. But from your perspective, being on the tech side, why is job costing so important?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it's a loaded question. There's so many places you can go with it, because like you said, and you guys have specific courses that you're training and helping people implement these things. I think at a high level, when you're talking job costing, the first thing that we look at fundamentally is it is the primary place where you're going to be able to change the trajectory of your company based on profitability and decision making. So many times when we're talking with contractors, and you mentioned the contractors that you serve, we serve any contractor who has hourly employees We specifically specialize in specialty contractors. So any subcontractors that are out there, self-performing work, GCs, those are the people that we serve, because the product itself was built around the purpose of, there is a job costing problem. We need to solve this, because so many times you will ask a business owner midway through the year, you get into June and July and life is busy, and you say, hey, how many jobs did you complete last month? And often the answer, whether it's 5 or whether it's 50, the percentages tend to play themselves out the same, where it's, well, we finished 5, probably made money on 3, don't really know about the other 2. Okay, do you know why? And if it's 50 jobs that were completed and 30 made money on and lost money on 20, the problem that we see often is the lack of job costing, the lack of visibility. So the highest variable cost in construction is labor. When you take a look and say, okay, in my business, I buy material, I order it, it's delivered, it's a fixed cost. I don't have to worry about that moving on me. It's on site, we're good. Where are things going to move? And it ultimately comes down to, when did the people show up? When did they leave? And how efficient were they when they were there? And if you're not tracking that, then at a baseline level of profitability, how can you understand how to improve your jobs, and how can you get information back for your estimator to improve their estimates?
Yeah, for sure. And I think what's interesting about that is, and again, we do a very in-depth training on job costing, but I think what makes this partnership between BusyBusy and CCN so special is the fact that sometimes you need tools to gather the right data so that your end result can be accurate. Okay. And that's, I think, where people fall short. I don't actually train our job costing, but I'm certainly aware of it. And, some of the mistakes are people just aren't amassing correct data. And then they find out that they thought they were making all this money on a job. As you said, Derek, in a couple of cases, they find, oh my God, we actually lost money on this job. Okay. And really a great way to address that is not only following the best practices in job costing, which we train on, but adding technology to your solution where you'll get much more accurate data. And that's what you guys do, Derek.
Yeah, you're right. And a lot of it comes down to fundamentals. It's interesting. You go through life, and if anybody who played sports focused on fundamentals before they moved into other things, if you got kids that are involved in those things. Similarly, there's a video that I've got that I'll show here that really helps contractors reframe what am I putting my energy into? What am I measuring, and what am I prioritizing? So I'm going to pull that up here, because I think it really, really is going to help with the perspective of, okay, what is job costing? Where should I start? What do I need to value?
But the reality is, and the truth is, that they're playing the game 90.
Okay, so let me set the stage here. This is Billy Donovan. He's the coach of the Chicago Bulls. Previous to that, he coached the Oklahoma City Thunder. Previous to that, he won a national championship with the Florida Gators. So very, very successful coach who understands, like, if you want to be successful, where you need to start is move the needle by gathering data, analyzing where time is spent, and then figuring out how to improve that. So that's what he's talking about here.
85% of the time without the ball in their hand.
So,
but the reality is, and the truth is, that they're playing the game 95% of the time without the ball in their hand. And I think a lot of times players play their 95% hoping to get it back. Run around hoping that they're going to throw it to me again. You know what I mean? And they run back on defense. Now, I'm going to touch it again. You know what I mean? And the thing that was amazing was I had a young kid. And I every year I try to do this to break it down. But I had a young kid that I said to him, he played, I think, 25 minutes in the game. And I said to him, how long do you think you had the ball in your hands last night in the game? And he said to me, 15 minutes. And I was like, 15 minutes? Nobody had the ball 15 minutes. And it's just try to get them, you know, we had in Florida, we always had 95% all over the gym, 95% to get them to understand that the real value in playing is not how well you play with the ball. Now, the ball obviously is extremely important. How well you take care of it, how well you pass it, what are your shots like? I'm not diminishing that part of it, but there is running back in transition. There is blocking out. You know, there is help side defense. Okay, there is taking a charge. There is diving on the floor for a loose basketball. There is help. Okay, there is screening. Okay, there is trying to go offensive.
Okay, so there's so much to this clip that can tie to what all of us do in the construction space. 95% of a basketball game is played without the ball in their hands. But you ask someone at the end of a week, hey, how did you spend your time this week? And there's a massive distortion in reporting when you're gathering information way later than when it actually happened, because people generally remember the best parts and the worst parts. So in this case, everybody's favorite part of a basketball game is to have the ball in their hand. So in a college basketball game, when you've got a shot clock, your generally time of possession is pretty close to 50-50. So in 25 minutes that this kid's played, his team had the ball for 12 and a half minutes. And his 5% would be 1 minute and 15 seconds. And he thought he had the ball for 15 minutes, right? So I think when you look at it and say, okay, what do I need to do and how do I improve? Well, you start by gathering the information in real time. You start by and that's why what our founder did was he looked at this. He owns 5 construction companies himself. And he was doing a massive underground utility job, and they had absolutely knocked it out of the park. And the estimator told him that they had failed. And he's looking at it going, no, this is one of the best projects that we've ever run. Look at the information. But it didn't match the estimate because the estimator wasn't using their previously recorded information because he didn't trust it, because the guys were reporting their hours. End of day, massive time rounding, end of week, a lot of guessing, not focusing on fundamentals of understanding what you're attributing time to, right? When you're looking at it and saying, for a concrete company, how much time did you spend tying rebar and setting up forms? How much time was on the skid steer doing prep work, and how much time was just doing the flat? Like, if you just allocate time and budget those 3 things and then have an other bucket to get started, think of the impact that it would make for your estimator on the next job to know who is doing what and how long it took and what the cost associated with those specific things are.
You know, I think what's really interesting, Derek, I'd like to get your take, is that the vast majority of contractors, including probably almost everybody on this webinar, already know the importance of tracking the right metrics in other areas of their business. You know, everybody's looking to drive down their cost per lead, so they're tracking marketing metrics. Everybody's trying to improve their demo rates and close rates. They're tracking sales metrics. Okay, but we can't ignore the metrics that will help you become way more accurate in your job costing. And that could take a company from being enormously unprofitable to being enormously profitable. And it's really, it's simple, but it's not easy because it does require change. And we know how uncomfortable people are with change. So it brings me to a question that I'd like to run by you, Derek. And that is, you know, so many people get uncomfortable when it comes to change. Changing habits. We all know that's hard. So where does someone start when they've been doing this, you know, maybe without the use of all that technology? Some people may be using technology, but we also know that people who use technology aren't always using it the right way or getting the most from it. Where do they begin?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's a great point by you, that it gets a little uncomfortable. So there's a theme of 95% on here, and I promise I didn't make it up. In fact, I actually told Bracken when I was putting this slide together, I was tempted to change this to 90% of adults, just because the last thing Billy Donovan was talking about was 95% as well. But here's the thing. People don't like to be uncomfortable. People don't like to do things that make them uncomfortable, and they don't like to ask other people to do things that make them uncomfortable because it's hard. But so is running a business. So is running a profitable business. So is being great at anything. Like uh, there's an entrepreneur, his name is Naval, and he talks about this all the time, where he talks about the level of commitment that you have to something to be different and unique is the level where you will differentiate yourself in profitability from other organizations. So interestingly enough, this statistic, once an adult turns 30 years old, 95% of those people will never run a sprint again.
Wow.
Right, like shocking number. And you're like, okay, why do I care about that? What does that have to do with job costing? But it's like, I think it goes back to what you're asking, Gary, is like, why don't people do it if they know that they need to? Well,
Right.
why? Because it's uncomfortable. And the thing is, it is easier than people realize. It just takes effort to implement it. It takes effort to ask people to do something that they haven't been asking. But I think where a lot of the disconnect comes is often people don't take the time to explain why. Because if you can explain why to your employees, employees love to be different. Employees love to be part of organizations that are better than their competitors. And it generally leads to better pay too. So when you can get down to why, and you can say, okay, here's what we're going to do. And you had asked the question of how do you get started? Like, what does that look like? If people on this call are not doing any level of job costing at all, the first thing that would be asked is, are you tracking time to a project? And if not, why? How could you possibly know the profitability of a project if you don't know how many hours were spent on that project and what the costs were because of the type of people that you had on there? Now, from an organization standpoint, whether you have 4 employees, 40 employees, or 400 employees, there's 2 ways in 2024 that people want to grow their business. They either want to add employees that ultimately in turn will add profit, or they want to maintain their employee group, but they want to improve efficiency, which will add profit. So the bottom line is what we're all focused on is how do we become a better business, become more profitable, and will adding more jobs and adding more employees do that? Often contractors are concerned, sometimes even scared about scaling and adding more employees because you'll hear sometimes people say, I made more money when I had 10 employees than I do now when I've got 20. And I was just talking to somebody the other day that said, yeah, I've got 80 employees. And when I was at 50, I was making more money, which is why I have to get this product implemented, is because I've got to get back to my baseline numbers. And the way to do that is, what are your people doing and what are they spending their time on? And do you know, crew by crew, who is best at what type of work? Because one of the best testimonials that we hear over and over, and Gary, I'm sure you can speak to this forever, and you should, so people aren't just hearing my voice, but we will hear all the time people talk about the fact that BusyBusy, by doing job costing, allowed me to understand what jobs I want and what jobs I had been previously bidding on that I didn't want anymore because they're just not profitable jobs for me.
Yeah. I'm going to go off on a tad of a tangent here for a
Please.
second, Derek, because that is so true. One thing every contractor on this webinar should realize is every homeowner is not your target customer. And when you talk about that contractor who had more employees and now they find themselves financially not doing as well, the key is you want to take the really profitable jobs. Leave those jobs where somebody's looking to buy on price. Leave that for your competitor so they can go out of business faster. Okay. You want to be healthy. All right. So I couldn't agree with you more. And, the other thing about talking about being uncomfortable and change, Derek, I think you might know this about me, but I've been a certified leadership and business coach for 17 years. And, prior to coming to CCN, when I was really doing it a lot, I'm not anymore, I would be in so many companies, big and small. And, there's that old saying by Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you feel that your job costing isn't exactly the way it should be, okay, which is the key to driving your profitability per job, okay, then you've got to be willing to get out of your comfort zone and look at change. And that's what we do here at CCN, and I know that's what you're doing with your technology solution, because and this is true for every functional area of your business, by the way. You need to always be focused on continuous improvement in every area of your company. And that's what CCN does. We work on getting all those systems and processes in place to raise the bar for you. But specifically on job costing, I agree with you 100%. Labor is a big, big issue, and it's a large variable cost on a job. You've got to have a system where you are totally accurate in tracking it. And so I couldn't agree more. So to me, the message to the audience here is get uncomfortable. Okay. One of the things we always taught people is if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing and you're not stretching yourself. So get uncomfortable. It's okay. As you continue to get uncomfortable, your comfort zone expands. So I couldn't agree with you more, Derek. I think that's great. As I said, at CCN, we help companies implement processes to help improve their business a lot of the time. And that includes implementing technology. And we have lots of technology partners, and the CCN members who are on this call can vouch for that. They know it. But I know that at BusyBusy, you're helping new clients implement BusyBusy every day. And so how do you recommend companies to go about implementing software? Not even just BusyBusy, but just in general. But of course, we're talking about BusyBusy.
Yeah, well, let's start by talking about why someone would want to implement software. What does software do for you different than what paper does? You walk into a doctor's office now and they use software rather than paper. Why? Because it's time to value. The level of efficiency increased by having everybody have the access to the same data at the same time in real time. Gary, imagine being able to walk in, if you're running a remodeling business yourself, to walk into your office every day, morning, after lunch, and pull up a slide or have a TV sitting there with budgets of your projects that look like this, that you can see high level very quickly how your projects are going. When you talk about software, it's like, well, can paper do this? If you're even trying to do it on Excel and you're putting that information in there, is it coming in end of day, end of week? One of the things that I see the value in software and why people would want to implement it is software takes data and turns it into information. So it's actionable. One of the biggest things that we hear all of the time is I was gathering information, or I was gathering data for years, but I never actually used it to make decisions because I never turned the data into information. And you talk about discomfort, like one of the things we talk about all of the time is profitability sits in discomfort. And the cool thing about discomfort, and you pointed this out, is like once you master it, it becomes comfortable. And then it's the biggest differentiator between you and your competitor. It's why your retention of your employees goes up. It's why you get referrals to where it makes it easier to hire. Because when you're different and you're doing something different in a market where you're educated and people feel they're proud to be a part of the organization because they know you, when they walk in the office, you've got a dashboard like this and they can point to the project and say, yeah, I'm on Daybreak. And then someone else is like, oh, shoot, I'm on Adobe, right? Like, your A players want software because it gives visibility. It shows that they're there early. It shows that they were there late. It shows that they got more done during the hours than someone else doing a very similar thing. So software itself has the ability to make a job compelling and to give you information to be able to make better decisions more quickly. Now, what you're going to do as far as like once you're using real-time data, what I would say is the NFL is a really good example of this. I talked about medical, but talking about the NFL and how they use real-time data. Oh, the wrong NFL, Bracken. I know you're a big Taylor Swift fan. Wrong NFL. All right, let's talk about this NFL, not the Taylor Swift version of NFL. So this is cool. I love this gift because I actually watched this game live, and this is a gift that I saved to do a sales training on because what Aaron Rodgers did here, threw an interception, came off the field, watched on his tablet what happened, how the safety read what he was doing, catches an interception. What the Packers did specifically in this game, they ran the exact same play in the fourth quarter. The safety bid on it, and then they actually did a route tree where the wide receiver broke out and they threw an a touchdown over the top. So they won the game by having real-time information where they could course correct before it was too late, which is what software allows you to do. It's what job costing will allow you to do by tracking your time, your employees, and knowing what they're doing. So then you get into, okay, how do we implement this software? Well, I think the first thing that you've got to do, again, and I mentioned this a little bit before, but you've got to start with the why. Can you sit down and explain to your employees, hey, do you want GPS on your time tracking or not? You can do it either way. If you want it, have a reason for it. I don't want to deal with customers fighting me on invoices anymore. I don't want to have, like, there are reasons where liability wise you can show that people are there, but you start with this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. And then you have your job costing methods. Are you doing it at a project level? Are you doing it at a cost code level? Who's the system of ownership? Who's reporting the information? Are the employees in real time reporting what they were doing and who they were doing it? Or do you want the supervisors to actually assign the job costing to the employees after the employees have reported their hours that day?
You know, Derek, could I just chime in for a minute? Something you said earlier, which I loved when you put up that slide that showed the visual of the BusyBusy report. You know, a lot of people don't know this about me, but after I spent 30 years in the home improvement industry, I left the industry for 11 years and became a professor of business at the University of Maryland, and later became associate dean of the business school. The only reason I'm telling you this is because if you look at every major business school in the country, okay, 12 years ago, about 12, 14 years ago, there was a big push to business analytics, data analytics, okay? And in fact, this plethora of specialized master degree programs were put out in analytics for marketing, analytics for sales, analytics for every area of your business. Something you said, I just want to reiterate because I'm pretty confident that the vast majority of people on this webinar, at least I hope so, are amassing and gathering data. But that's not what makes you better. It's what are you doing with that data? Okay. Raw data is actually of very little value until you analyze the data. And so when you can get software that will do that for you instead of trying to build some ungodly spreadsheet in Excel, which still won't be as good as something that's been designed by a developer, okay, then it just makes so much sense because now now I'm sure there's some people who aren't amassing all the data they should, but I'll bet there's plenty of people on this call who are, but they're not doing the right analysis of that data. And this is where software can just be a game changer for you. And that's why CCN has so many tech partners in different areas of business, because we can teach you all of this stuff. And I'd like to think we do a pretty darn good job of it, teaching systems and processes in every area of a business. But in today's environment, you need the help of technology. We live in a different world today. And if you're not using it, your competitors are, and they're going to be better than you. So I'm a big proponent of technology. Our company is a big proponent of it. So I just want to let you know, when you flash that up, it made me think about raw data versus the analytics behind data. And if you're only doing the raw data, you've only scratched the surface because you don't have much to work with.
Data versus information, right? Because information
Exactly.
is analytics. And it's interesting. You were talking about education. I've got a good friend. She works in software in the education space. And she said that by third grade, they can predict with a 93% accuracy whether someone will graduate from high school or not, because of the information through test taking and structure. So again, this type of stuff is touching every industry. As you're talking about adoption and what competitors are doing, I actually flew out to Niagara Falls recently and did a big presentation for a group of contractors on Netflix versus Blockbuster, and told that story. As Netflix was taking off and Blockbuster had completely flatlined, there were investors everywhere pushing Blockbuster to do streaming. And the Blockbuster CEO came out and specifically spoke against it and said, we have a competitive advantage and it is not streaming. We're going to stick with what we do best. And it's like, look, I will tell you this, the 6 most dangerous words in business is we've always done it that way. Like, please do not say
I couldn't
that.
agree with you more. And when I would go in and consult with businesses and coach, that was my tagline. Don't say that to me again, because you're never going to make progress if you take that approach. You should always be thinking, what's next in my business? You should never feel like anything is static in your business. The fact of the matter is, business is dynamic. Everything around us is dynamic. You can't stand still. So you can never think, I'm always going to do things the same way. The minute you start that thought process, you will fall behind competitors in your area. At the end of the day, you want to be at the leading edge of what's happening in an industry. You want to be on the leading side, not the trailing side. That's why whenever great technology comes out that would really fuel your business in a positive way, okay, or learning new systems and processes that are state of the art for every area of your business, you need to be all over that, okay, because you want to be a leader in this industry, not a follower. That's where you're going to scale your revenues and your profits faster, which I would like to think everybody on this call wants to do that.
Yeah. Well, for those of you on the call who have not read the book, Start with the Why, or you've not watched TED Talks by Simon Sinek, type in online Simon Sinek adoption curve. And that's what Gary is talking about. Be on the left side of that curve, because that's where the profit sits. That's where you're changing people's lives, you're improving your employees' lives, you're leaving generational wealth for your children because you're doing something different and you're improving. So, Gary, I want to go back to the question where you had asked me about implementing software and adopting that. What does it look like for a company? On my side, look, we've got over 100,000 contractors that are using BusyBusy every single day. I know what it looks like to be able to help a company implement something like that. Most of it is cultural. It's people taking pride in doing something better today than what it was yesterday. People not being adverse to change. The things that we're talking about here is like, do you want to be a part of somebody who says we've always done it this way? Or do you want to be different? Do you want to be forward thinking? Do you want to be great? Because greatness requires discomfort. So those are the things that I would say where we see people be wildly successful. And when we're helping people adopt BusyBusy specifically, it's small things. It's an incentive by saying, hey, whoever uses BusyBusy next week out of all of our employees, anybody that has a perfect time card the first week of rolling this out, we're going to do $100 gift card to Cabela's or to Shields or to Amazon. And if you get it right the second week, 2 weeks in a row, we're going to do a $200 gift card. But have some fun with it, understanding that that minor cost of $300 over a 2-week period will change your business because of the behavior and the habits that you've created. But on your side, Gary, you guys are helping people implement software all the time too. What are you seeing? What a company that fails implementing a software and a company that succeeds, how are you coaching them through it? What are you seeing on your side?
Yeah, so I have lots of thoughts on that just from what we've observed. First of all, with a lot of software, a lot of tech solutions, I'd like to say that a lot of contractors, and it's not just contractors, it's all businesses, but we're in the contracting space, have what I like to call shiny object syndrome. Okay, for instance, they'll start with one technology solution and they give up on it too quickly before they've even really understood the full capabilities of the solutions that software offers. So one of the things we talk about with folks is when you're adopting new technology, make sure that you are learning everything about that technology inside and out, okay? Not just a cursory understanding of it. Because in my opinion, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, okay, if you're not doing a deep dive into your tech solutions. In fact, Derek, I mean, I know you can see this because when you talk about something as massive as a CRM, this is where this is the most common. I mean, I talked to so many members, who have said, oh, I'm switching my CRM. And I said, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's just different grass. Okay. So before you decide to get a divorce with your existing technology, okay, make sure you've taken the time to fully understand all of its capabilities, because there could be nuggets there that you're not taking advantage of that could be a real game changer. So now the BusyBusy solution isn't as complex as a massive CRM. At least I don't believe it is. Okay. So there's no reason not to do a deep dive and fully understand what you need to know to run that software, because the software is only going to be as good as the people using it. Software is a great solution, but if people aren't using it the right way, then they're not going to get the results that they were hoping for. Well, I'm sure you would agree.
Yep, 100%. And if I did disagree, I wouldn't dare tell you. No, you nailed it. It is definitely something where you want to make sure people know what they have in front of you. Luckily, there are certain products like what we do. Time tracking and job costing is easier than people realize. It just takes a little bit of effort and a couple changes, and you're able to really, really change the trajectory of your business. I mean, when you look at it at a high level, Bracken had popped a slide up previously, but it went through categorically, what do you need to do these things? And that job costing, it gets really straightforward. Define your cost categories. Again, it's, do you want to track time to just a project because you have not been doing that? Or are you tracking time to a project, but you're not doing a very good job with cost codes? Often I see a problem with cost codes where people have too many. So estimators won't use the information coming from the field because they don't trust it. So simplify it to a point that people can actually do it and do it well. Concrete companies often, I will see them start, I gave the example. It's, okay, your prep, your rebar and your forms, and then your finish. And then have an other category. And that's it. Like, you don't need to start where you want to finish. Nobody goes out the first day after 5 years of not running and runs 10 miles. If your goal is to run 10 miles, please don't try that first day, or you're not going to live to be able to make it the rest of the time. You start by running a half a mile and then run a mile. And Costco's the same thing. Looked like you were going to say something there.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on this slide. I hope you don't mind this shameless plug, but when you look, and this is Derek's slide, but when you look at these 10 steps, when I talk about teaching right systems and processes and the way to do things, we teach all of this in our financial framework course. Okay, where we go deep into job costing and all the things you should be doing to do it properly. Because actually, you need to have that knowledge first, or you should have that knowledge first before you jump into software solutions. Software solutions should be able to take your systems and processes and make them easy to understand, okay, and easy to measure results. Okay, but you got to have the systems and processes first. So this slide's important because, these are the things CCN teaches. And then you layer that with the BusyBusy technology solution, and now you've got a real win-win. Okay, because you've learned all of these proven systems and processes, and now you've got software that takes raw data and produces amazing analytics for you to make great business decisions. That's my take.
No, it's perfect. And here's the thing, like looking at this slide, some of these things seem pretty straightforward, but take a step back and say, okay, what's number 4? Create project budgets. Some people are saying, well, I already have my bid. That's what won it. I'm using that as my project budget. Do you have a budget for your labor cost? We showed that graphic before of imagine what it could be like to walk into your office every day and have that scoreboard to real-time data, which showing you exactly where your projects are trending. Oh, you're 50% done with the project and you're 65% on labor cost. It's a problem. Let's course correct before it's too late so that you can throw that touchdown while you're still playing that game. It's the same thing on the regular cost tracking and then the analysis. So many companies track information and then they don't have time to go back and analyze it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we'll call it a construction triangle where you estimate, execute, and then analyze. But if you forget that last part because you're so busy working inside your business that you don't take a step back to work on your business, there's a massive disconnect with cost codes. And that's where your bonuses and your improvements, to have happy employees and really knock it out of the park, you can do bonuses and you can do acknowledgments of how well a crew is doing if you're doing the analysis.
Yep, totally right. So, okay, now we know why it matters, right? We've had a great conversation. We know why accurate job costing matters. We know now that it's important. And we also know that we have to be willing to get uncomfortable and make changes to implement better process. Okay, so now the next steps. If you're just getting started with the idea of job costing, even if you're not just getting started, my advice is to download the BusyBusy app. Okay, which my friends here can tell you how to do that. Okay, that's what I would do. And if you're ready to take your job costing to the next level, or if your profits are stagnant, or if you simply ready to start driving growth and really dive into where you're profitable and how to start focusing on winning jobs, I'd suggest scheduling an appointment with our company. So we're a great tandem here because together we can make your job costing extremely valuable to you, and we can teach you how to be more profitable.
Yeah, yeah, really well said. You can go on busybusy.com and create an account, and it's completely free. And then even easier than that, you have an opportunity right here. Gary's saying, hey, look, you want to get started on this or you want to improve it, both CCN and BusyBusy. It's what we do all day, every day, is help people that look like you, act like you, who know I've got a good business. I need to make it great. So you got some QR codes here. Bracken and David are happy to meet with you. Let's get you guys on the books and make sure that 2024 is more profitable than 2023, because there's no reason for you to show up every day to work without putting your best foot forward. You're going to be at work anyway. You might as well make more money.
Yeah. And, David Moon is on my team. He's our membership development consultant. He can actually show you all the types of trainings we do and the impact it has on your business. And again, like I said, you layer that with the technology like BusyBusy. They're a valued and trusted partner of CCN's. We just think it's a great combination for everyone.
Love the partnership, Gary. It's so much synergy when you look at what we're doing for the construction industry. So thanks for the chat today. Hopefully it was really beneficial for everybody.
Well, I've enjoyed it as well. Bracken, we're going to send it back to you.
I appreciate you guys. That was great. And for everyone still here, I did send in these links through the chat as well. So if you're not a QR fan, you can just hit the chat down below and it'll have both mine and David's link, as well as a link to the podcast that we did a month or so back with Gary that talks all about how tech can improve your business. So look forward to working with all of you guys, and appreciate you guys taking some time to chat with us. So we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Gary. Thanks,
Sure
Derek. See ya.
thing.